Grand Rising. I apologize in advance if it's a little smoky in here. I'm burning sage. I actually posted this video last night, but the title was different and one of the topics was different. I spoke on lack of success, but I think that deserves its own video. And I also realized that there was another topic that went better with what I was speaking on. So last night's video was frenemies, cheating, and the lack of success, but we're gonna make it you're gonna make it frenemies, cheating, and the liar, and lying rather. Let's keep it cheating, frenemies, and lying. And I actually didn't line up my written words, so let me fix that really quick. Covert emotional incest causes your algorithm and who you draw in. So we're going to take a look at that. And also causes behaviors. So lying would be a behavior, or you might be drawn to a liar, right? So this is now like the fourth time I've read this, because I've tried to record this video for the last 2 days, okay? The only female friends that I had were frenemies. Because of the perceived hatred I had received at home, I was led to believe that females just didn't like me, and it was kind of a fact. As I said before, I was not a typical tomboy. Though I could relate better to boys because of my femininity, I also attracted them. I wasn't a homeboy or one of the boys. I was a cool, relatable gal pal. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was just down like a whole bottle of water. Sorry. This caused friction because my best friends may have a crush on someone, but their crush will gravitate towards me. I was considered kind of like a seducer, and I found myself in a lot of love triangles I didn't intend to be in. This caused an undeserved mistrust in my circle of friends. When I look back on my friends, I can also see they were in emotional relationships with their own parents. Our gravitation to each other was a result. I had one friend who was a left out child. She didn't have the favor of her parent, and she took that out on me. Her response when things like this happened was to humiliate me by any means necessary. However, we were so involved with each other, I felt that I knew her so well, so I never resolved to kick her to the curb until she finally lashed out in an unforgivable way by sleeping with my child's father. That particular summer, I stayed with her and her mother kicked her out but let me stay. I had gained the favor of her mother unintentionally as a result of my perfectionism, which was a result of my relationship with my mother. I did leave a few days later, but since we weren't in contact in that time, she took her revenge. Every time I turned around, I had another friend of mine that was engaging with my crushes and adventures. Her mother had super lax rules, so there would be days I pulled up to her house to find the guy I had been pining after was there and had stayed the night. My house didn't have those lax rules, so she was an advantage. That ultimately did not serve her or protect her, right? The last and best friend of all was the most abusive. She would offer sabotaging advice. She could not stand any display of confidence. She could not offer compliments. and accused me of self-absorption, but was actually very self-absorbed herself. She once bought gifts for my child on my birthday, then called me ungrateful when I was disappointed that nothing was for me. I did eventually let go of these friends, but the feeling behind the betrayals lingered for some time, and I did not make another friend. I recently actually made a female friend in the last 6 months, and it's been a blessing. But she is also a victim of covert emotional incest. It is what it is. But she's looking to heal, and helping her identifying this wound. I've seen a great change in her that I really appreciate. And she's nothing like any of these young ladies. She's really, of course we're older. This is early 20s teens, we're middle-aged women now. So some of these, but some of these habits still go on in late adulthood. There are women that are acting this way, and they are well over the age of 30, So, as a result of not having any female friends, I enmeshed with a few of my female cousins. And regrettably, I did find myself exhibiting similar behavior. Hurt people hurt people. So I pushed a few away. I don't get along with women. Women don't like me is how I felt. And I eventually put focus on just trying to obtain a partner who could make up for the lack of friends. And you know what they call that type of woman? They call her thirsty. Okay? So this is where thirst comes from. And this is not gender specific. I'm speaking on my own. I'm a woman, so I'm speaking on myself. But I can see this in men too. And I'm sure you can too, right? Mean Girls is a accurate fictional depiction of what the results of the women-peer relationships look like when children are enmeshed with their parent. Regina George was enmeshed with her mother. Amanda Seyfried's character was a forgotten child or a left-out child. The right hand of Regina George, the brunette, she was enmeshed with her father. And Lindsay Lohan was enmeshed with both her parents and held a very high expectation of herself, and they held a high expectation of her as well. So then we have what comes with some of that is unrealistic expectations of your partner and cheating, right? A man may emotionally fall in love with his mother, unbeknownst to him. A lot of people do not realize, it's in culture though. We hear it all the time. A boy's first love is his mother. Girl's first love is her father. But how deep does that actually go? And are we realizing that that is actually a problem? Your father, your mother should be an example, not your first love. And a lot of people do not get over that. And so what it causes is a man to look for his woman to be perfect, and she is not perfect if she doesn't do all the things that his mother did. An example of this is I know a man who his mother worked 2 jobs to support him, and he expected every woman to be grinding like that. And she wasn't shit if she wasn't grinding like that. However, he did not realize that his mother was experiencing a hardship. And so he expected all these women to live in hardship. So you flip the script, and a woman won't date a man that can't give her everything she wants. And her excuse will be that her father did. And she doesn't realize that her father is likely in debt. A lot of, we are not all in the 1%. We are not all well off. Some of these people are experiencing hardships, are in debt, don't have anything to their name, but their child has everything. And that child does not make that connection. All they think is, my dad did anything for me. So if you don't, you're no good. You know, these are some of the expectations that we place on each other. Another one would be a man who's never seen his mother with another man. She is a virgin. She's never had sex, in his opinion. Okay? And so he does not want a woman who has a history. She could be a perfectly quality woman. Sex is natural. And so a lot of men will turn women down because they can't find a woman that's not had a lot of partners, or, you know, women are lying about having partners because they know that this is a misconception and something that men want. So it causes us not to be authentic to ourselves. So the worst part about this is that this individual may find someone that is willing to do all of these things. They may find that woman that has not a lot of experience. They may find someone who wants to work 3 and 4 jobs and get it in for them, right? But they will still cheat. And they may stall commitment. This person is emotionally faithful to their parent and their parent only. But it's a subconscious thing. They don't realize that. You know, one of the big memes last year, one of the big arguments was who sits in the front seat, mom or wife. Why is that even a disagreement? I mean, if we want to say out of respect, wife sits in the back, okay, but it really shouldn't ever be an argument. But women are so used to men putting their mother first these days. In the Bible, it says a man leaves his mom. But we've made it to where no one leaves any parent. Their parent is a fixture within their relationships. So, because they are emotionally faithful to their parent, they will not be able to achieve intimacy with anyone else. They will find fault in them, and they will never find fault in themselves or their parent, especially if their parent is involved in the relationship. They will never, mama was right about you, daddy was right about you. They will find fault in that individual who otherwise would be perfect. Think of all the excuses when one is caught cheating. It's never about them or their issues. They will deflect to the imperfections of their partners. Nobody's perfect, but a covert emotional incest victim is on a never-ending search for perfection. The individual that will one-up their parent, the individual that is better than their parent, and even when they find that person, they will fuck it up. Everybody has somebody that is better than their parent. I'm telling you, because you have someone for you. Everyone has a twin flame soulmate. They have someone that is made for them and will help them to leave their parent. But without recognizing the root of these issues, you are going to turn that person down and turn their life upside down. This won't happen. It doesn't exist. But watch them try to find this perfect individual. I'm guilty of it. I am very guilty. These are not gender specific. I brought up both genders and what it looks like, but these can be opposite. I once saw a girl that said that her man will have morals from the start. And she's on a search for a perfect man that's never done anything wrong. And she's going to continue that search. He might be perfect except for went to jail once. And she's going to turn him down. And he could have been the one for her. But again, we're going to search for perfection. And there's just no such thing. This is also what you would call the ride or die culture, right? That woman that just sticks with her man forever through anything. That's what they want. Through anything, through thick and thin. But thick, there's way more thick. There's way more thick shit. And she's gonna stick through it. Because he's looking for someone to take his bullshit. You know, this is something that is in narcissism. But my belief is that all of the personality disorders, the entire DSM-5, I believe, is a book of results of covert emotional incest. So that's what I believe. I've done so much research that at this point it really is a catch-all. If you look at each person and their deepest wound, this is it. I've met enough. I've met or been diagnosed with something in the DSM-5. And I've met the entire book. I've met the entire book, and I'm pretty sure that this is the cause of this book. So the last thing I'm going to speak on today is lying. You know, I hate lying. I do. When I tell a lie, it eats me up for the moment I tell it. I wouldn't call myself a liar, though. But some people who have experienced this abuse are pure pathological liars. I have lied about things, but I'm definitely not in everything that comes out my mouth is a lie type. I still have to acknowledge lying has a root in this enmeshment. As early as K5, my mother began to drill me to be completely honest. By the second grade, I was very truthful. I became a self-tattle. The problem with my truth is it didn't ever seem to get me out of trouble. It was like some kind of torture tactic. She would congratulate me on being truthful, then come in with a swift punishment for whatever I did wrong. Real quick, being truthful means you understand it was wrong. You don't have to be double corrected. Her purpose for training me to be truthful had motive. As I got older, I get home after spending time with my father and I was questioned, what did you do? What did you talk about? All the time. It was always simple stuff. But here's where lying begins, because sometimes we go out to eat. Don't tell them I took you. I don't want to make anyone feel left out. Don't tell your mother I said that. I did odd things. I once found a medication in his car that I hid. I don't know if it was protecting her or him. This stuff flowed out into my life. Sometimes I didn't have understanding about what I was lying for. But I understood that lying was going to make things smooth. Lying was going to make me noticed or not. Lying kept people from getting mad. In my home, lying didn't have much bad results. After all, me telling the truth didn't have any good results. 8th grade, I lied about having sex and being pregnant. And a 7th grader was pregnant. I didn't know how she got that way. And we'll eventually talk about that. But I noted it garnered attention. Okay. I didn't actually know what sex was. And I was removed from both sex ed classes in the 5th and 8th grade. And I had to sit in the hallway on these days. So I was oblivious. I was comparable to Carrie the day I got my cycle. It was at home though, luckily, but there was a lot of guests there and I had no idea what the hell was happening. I certainly had never had sex. I would have never been afforded the opportunity. I wasn't allowed to stay the night at homes with boys in it, and boys weren't ever left unsupervised with me. This level of purity protection was a steep demise for another topic. By a certain age, the odd part is the person who raised me to be truthful started doing this too. Don't tell your sisters that I will let you go. They'll be jealous. Don't tell your dad I bought this. So exactly what the fuck can I tell y'all? This started even more lying, but the kind of lying I was doing was the worst kind, lying by omission. If they don't directly ask you, is it a lie? Yes, completely. A mind fuck. And I got good at this. But the self-critic in my youth, the self-critic created in my youth was louder. What that looks like is insanity. I go months, years, maybe telling a lie, and it eats me up, and I have to tell on myself. Imagine what it feels like and looks like to my victim. She can't be trusted. I also had a tendency to create white lies when being questioned. I hated to be questioned because every aspect of my life was an investigation. It wasn't because I was doing anything wrong. I wanted to hold on to my privacy because I wasn't raised with any. I hadn't been taught to tell people to mind their business. I hadn't been taught any kind of boundaries. My boundaries were created in lies. If I don't want to talk, I lie. I'm not okay, I lie. I once saw a post that said, sorry until caught. Trust me, I spent a lot of time so sorry I had to make myself caught. And I know there's a few people that tell a lie. I know there's very few people that tell a lie and aren't feeling dread. Behold, social media culture and cappin. Are we ready to talk about this yet?